Hi, I'm Mrs.D. Math. Thanks for joining me today. We're going to be covering the area of triangles in 6th grade math. So let's go ahead and get started. So let's talk about where this triangle formula for the area is derived from. If I take the same triangle and I double it and flip it and put them together, now I have a parallelogram. If these were right triangles, I would have a rectangle. Since I know from the previous video, the area of a parallelogram is base times height, they're going to form a right angle, then I can determine that this would be base times height divided by 2, or times a half, because I only need one of those two triangles in order to find my area. Here's a picture of our triangle, and it has the height and the base marked. Again, just like on the parallelogram and trapezoid video, you are going to look for this right angle. That's going to indicate which one is your base and height. They're the two lines that are forming that right angle. So if it's not a right triangle, it's usually going to give you that information or give you enough information to figure out what that height is. Let's try an example here. We have a triangle, the same one, labeled, but this one has all the sides and the height labeled. I need to figure out which numbers I need to use for my formula, since there's only 2 numbers in the formula and I have 4 numbers on my triangle. So I am looking for this right angle right here. The 2 lengths that are forming that right angle are my base and height. Therefore, I do not need the 8 feet or the 10 feet. So this formula is going to be area equals 1/2 base times height, 7 times 12. I can go ahead and reduce before I solve, but I can only divide one of these numbers by 2. So I'm going to take half of the 12 because it is an even number. Area equals, now I have 7 times 6, which is 42. And this is going to be labeled feet squared because it is area. Let's try a couple more examples. This time I have a right triangle, so I can see my right angle is here. That means I do not need the 13 inches. So when I plug this into my formula, 1/2 12 times 5, then I can go ahead and take half of 12, since that's going to be 6. Now my area is 6 times 5, so the total area is 30 inches squared. Let's try another one. This one is an isosceles triangle. It isn't indicated by the side lengths, but I can tell that the height is going straight down to the center of the base. So the 15 is the number I don't need. Area equals 1/2 11 times 7. And now we have one without an even number. So I am not going to divide by 2 first. I'm going to go ahead and multiply these two. So I have 1/2. 7 times 11 is 77. And my answer is going to be half of 77. So I'll do the division over here. And I'm going to end up with 38.5, or 0.5, either way it wants you to write it, meters squared. So pay attention if it asks for decimals as opposed to fractions, your answer would be 38.5. If it wants the fraction version, you're going to have 38.5. Those are equivalent. Let's go ahead and try another example of triangles. This triangle looks a little different. It is turned towards the side where we don't normally see it like this. Again, we're going to look for that right angle. That's going to indicate which ones are the base and height. So I do not need the 10 centimeters in order to solve this one. So when I plug this into my formula, area equals 1/2 base 14 times my height 7. I'm going to take half of the 14, which is 7. So the area for this one is 7 times 7. That equals 49 centimeters squared. Be careful when you're looking at your images and use the numbers that it gives you. They may not always be exact measurements, but if you use the numbers that are given correctly, then you will get the correct answer. And here we have another example. This one looks very different because we have an obtuse angle here. And so your right angle is going to be off of the actual triangle because we can't make a right angle easily inside the triangle. So now I'm looking for that right angle to find my base and my height. So even though the 3 meters is not forming the right angle, the extension of it is. So that is still your base. This time I do not need the 7 or the 10 meters. Let's plug this into our formula. 1/2, 6 times 3. I know half of 6 is 3. So my final answer is 3 times 3, which is 9 meters squared. This is going to be the same process even if you're using really difficult numbers like fractions and decimals, but for the purpose of learning the process, we did use very simple whole numbers in this video. I'm Mrs. D Math. Thanks for joining me today for the area of triangles in 6th grade math. Have a great day. Bye.